Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, speaking at you from Sunday, May 11th, 2025 in the space and time continuum. It's also Mother's Day. So we had my mom stop by today, and then also one of my nephews and his significant other was able to stop by while she was here to say hi to her on Mother's Day. I brought her a nice little flowers on a really nice little card, and it was just a nice gathering. My mom did a pretty good impromptu ad for this podcast to my nephew and his significant other, who I'm not sure that they've ever listened to the podcast. I don't put pressure on people I know to listen to the podcast, but if you know me, don't you think you should listen to my podcast? Anyway, so I thank Mom for that because I know she listens every week. So thanks, Mom, for doing a very an ad that embarrassed me in front of my nephew. But anyway, let's get into this. I want to point out that they want to keep the chaos going because they want everyone to be completely powerless. And if we just all go nuts and lose our minds and or just try and ignore what this administration is doing, they have achieved their goal, and they can then ruin everything behind the scenes while we're not paying attention. I spoke to my friend Doug this week, and he mentioned, my life, my daily life, my day-by-day life hasn't changed, at least yet or right now, and that's probably true for most Americans yet, right now. My nephew, however, he's got his own business where he does detailing of cars, and he's got at a port in Houston, he's got some supplies that he needs to run his business that are stuck there because they don't know what to charge for the tariffs. Are the tariffs on? Are the tariffs off? We don't know. So he, as a small business owner, is already feeling bad changes in his daily life. He's having to find different vendors for things. He found a different vendor for a certain towel, for instance, and he said it's not as nice as towels as I don't want to say what he really had to say about the new towels that he found because maybe they're listening to the podcast. No, I'm kidding. It's being a real pain in his ass in his business already. Our business hasn't been affected. I'm not sure if and when it will. We do use a lot of aluminum parts, and I could see maybe prices being changed on that. I also firmly believe the tariffs aren't going to last very long. I think there's going to be a lot of, pain happening in the next few weeks. And I think that's going to further push the pressure against this administration and the tariffs. I predict that by the end of the summer, that whole mess is going to kind of be fixed. Now, I think there's going to be some extremely explosive things happening between now and then. And I would say closer to now than then. But I can't say that I know anything about that. But a lot of things are reaching a fever pitch. Now, I'm kind of went off in the weeds there a little bit. My friend Doug saying that his daily life really hasn't changed, but he lives in Massachusetts, and it was in a city in Massachusetts, Worcester is how it's pronounced, actually. It looks like Worcester, but everyone pronounces it Worcester, Massachusetts. Incredible footage of a young woman being thrown to the ground and her face rubbed in the tar by masked ICE officers and police officers from the town, by the way. But the neighbors are standing up against them, and that's the point I'm making here. Those of us who are not going through that kind of horribleness, being kidnapped by masked, unmarked, supposedly ICE agents, those of us who aren't going through that, those of us like Doug and I, and perhaps you, whose daily life hasn't at least yet been affected by all of this mess, we need to keep it together. It's up to us to get this under control, to help those people that are being kidnapped and having their faces rubbed in the tar by this administration. You probably know the incident I'm talking about, so I don't need to go into too many details, but there are people all over the country saying that they are coming into restaurants and schools, and they're dragging people out. Why are they wearing masks? This is Nazi Germany kind of stuff. Yes, I'm going to say it. It's the truth. But it's up to us to keep it together and push back. People going in the streets, the protests, they are having a difference. They are making a difference. We've got legislators going into different places. Chris Murphy and Maxwell Frost are now together doing having town halls. They're maybe not doing exactly what AOC and Bernie Sanders are doing together, but they're banding together, an older white dude and the youngest guy so far elected to Congress, Maxwell Frost, also a black dude, and they're banding together. And same with, super young woman in AOC banding with the super old Bernie, going out and getting huge crowds, and it does make a difference. They are feeling the pressure in the White House. They truly are. At VCU in Virginia, the university there, one of my best friends is a professor there, actually, and Eve and I went and toured it because it's a really good school, and Eve was thinking of going there, but they don't have an architecture program, so she ended up going to Pratt, and that's where Pratt Institute in New York, a very highly regarded worldwide architecture school, and she's in Rome right now. I told that story last week. She's coming home in a week, and I think she's going to probably need a few days. I think she's going to be glad to see Tucker, our dog. I assume she's going to be glad to see me and Heidi, her mom, a week after Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, by the way. But I don't think she's going to be so happy to see the shape of her country right now. But anyway, okay, I keep going off into the weeds. And then I repeat the term, anyway. It bugs me too. I will try and stop. I'll put a cap on it right now. At VCU, the university there, they had their commencement ceremony, and the MAGAT governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, got up to speak, and a mass walkout of students. The video, it looks like the majority of the students got up the moment he took the stage, got up and walked out of the room. Now, the fact that they have to put up with that kind of BS at their own commencement pisses me off, but good for them. Good for them. And this is what I'm talking about. We need to keep the pressure on. All these MAGATs think that America's with them. They're seeing that America is not with them. Also, I want to say, this last week was a comedy show. Trump was a comedian. We need to laugh at this. We need to get the popcorn out and watch how silly this is. Representative Anna Paulina Luna from Florida put up, actually she did this quite a while ago, but I think it got brought up again this week. She put up legislation to have the Department of the Interior arrange for Donald Trump to be carved into Mount Rushmore. That's actual legislation. They spent the whole week this week arguing about trying to change the Gulf of Mexico's name to the Gulf of America. And that's all that happened in the House this week. except for some grilling of both Kash Patel and what's her name, the puppy killer, Kristi Noem. And it's amazing. The clips from that are amazing. These people are abysmal. And the Democratic Congress people who are grilling them are kicking ass. Go on YouTube and look this up. Forbes does a good job of just cutting each person's 5-minute segment. And you can just go in, and it's very easy to watch them in 5-minute segments. You watch one 5-minute segment and you want to watch another one. It's easier than finding the whole thing like on C-SPAN or something and watching for an hour or two. There are so many highlights from these committee hearings. There are so many Democratic Congress people who are doing such an incredible job doing their jobs in these committee hearings. So I urge you to go find that. I also urge you to go to electiontruthalliance.org. I say that every show now because they have put together a plethora of information basically proving that Elon Musk stole this election using those vote counting machines. Nobody knows them like Elon. There's a clip of Donald Trump trying to speak at the Oval Office this week. He was asked a question, and halfway through a sentence, he loses complete control of his mouth or something and just starts going again. And I mean, I was going to look for the clip, but I can't really. I watch him enough trying to prepare for this show, and I just couldn't bring myself. Sometimes, like I said last week, sometimes I over-prepare. It makes me start the show too late, and then it's just not fun for me or you or anybody anymore. So I did not go and find that clip, but it's amazing, and I can't believe nobody's talking about it. And when he does something like that, where do they go? They talk about Biden, who, by the way, has come back in 3 different instances within this last week. Kamala's back. Tim Walz is back. What's going on? Why is Kash Patel so angry all the time? Why does he look so scared? Why is Trump so angry? Why is Stephen Miller so angry? By the way, this just in. If I understand the White House's current messaging, it's that the border is completely under control. Unlike ever before in history, crime is dramatically down across the board. But we are also under such an invasion that we have to suspend habeas corpus. That's where Stephen Miller went this week. I'm sure you know about that. He's a mixture of Nosferatu and Goebbels, that the right-hand man of what's the Nazi's name? Adolf Hitler. Stephen Miller, I think, thinks, he's pretty much president because Donald Trump. A very interesting point somebody made that they're familiar with Alzheimer's, and they say Alzheimer's patients often go to a place in their life where it was a good time for them. Donald Trump saying that gas prices are down to $1.98. Maybe he's going to sometime in the 80s. Why does he keep repeating things that are obviously not true? That people can just go look, they just, saw at a gas station today. No, gas is like $3.65 or something. Whatever. Why does he keep saying it's down to $1.98? Maybe it's because in his mind, he's in 1984, before the world hated Donald Trump as much as they do now. He definitely is suffering of his dad, his mom had Alzheimer's. It's obvious. And this week, more than any other week, somebody says, what do you have to say about, the ports reporting that there are no goods in the ports right now? Then he just goes, that just means we're losing less money. We're just losing less money. If you go to the store and you want to buy
pear or a pencil or a stool for your feet, but then you don't buy it, then you don't lose any money. If you go to the coffee shop and you're looking at that beautiful cup of coffee and it costs $3.50, and then you decide, I'm not going to buy the coffee, you keep that $3.50 in your pocket. You haven't lost any money. So as long as nobody does anything or moves, don't move. Don't move. Don't even look at something. Don't buy anything. Don't eat anything. Just don't do anything. Just stay in a chair or something, and you won't lose any money. Don't buy things. Yes, that makes you lose money.
It's funny, right? We got to laugh at it. All right? We got to stay strong. Let's not get messed up because that's what they want. Let's not give them what they want. All right? I've already blasted through the whole first half here, and I haven't done much of my list, but these are all points I wanted to make. So it's okay. Now I'm just talking to myself. It's okay. I'm doing fine. This show's going well. When we come back, we'll have some more things that in certain ways are funny. Other ways, of course, they're tragic, but in certain ways are funny. And we're even going to be looking at some people who are having some fun with it, which we got to do. We got to stay sane. All right? Thank you so much for being here. Doing this show helps keep me sane, and I would have no reason to do this show if it wasn't for you listening, so thank you so much. But we're only halfway through. We're going to come back, and got some more very interesting things, actually. Some really interesting things, actually, to report to you when we come back on A Satellite View. Satellite View. If you like the music you hear, go to toddmikkelson.com and push the music button and hear this music and a lot of other music I've written throughout the years. Go to my Instagram at Todd Mikkelson and follow me on Instagram and also on YouTube. We now are putting these videos up in their entirety on video. So thank you so much for listening. I know a podcast is easier to listen to in your car and all that kind of stuff. But if you do feel so inclined to watch this on video, go to YouTube and put in the search A Satellite View Podcast, and you'll find our channel. And then follow us there. Subscribe for free. Make a comment. Don't be a troll about it. I mean, most of the comments I get are still from trolls, which, by the way, does anyone even pay attention to trolls and bots anymore? Are there even bots doing anything anymore? They've lost their potency for sure. We talked last week about how Donald Trump is uniting the world against him and basically turning everyone against fascism. He is the representative for fascism, and people are not liking what he's delivering. So they're going to elections in their country and voting for the liberal people against what everyone thought was going to happen a few short months ago. This is the huge silver lining of Trump being president right now. He did not win this election. There is proof of that from a few different angles that we've talked about in depth on this show. So go back and listen to previous episodes. So he didn't win the election, but he did become president. Kind of? I don't know. But whatever he's doing, he's playing the part of the diabolical sort of James Bond supreme villain of the world, trying to take over the world By the way, in some of these tariffs with especially smaller countries, he's saying,
I'll let you out of the tariffs if you make a deal with Elon and get Starlink. Get Starlink in your country.
that's true. It's total blackmail. It's total quid pro quo. And Elon's telling Trump, do this for me and I won't tell on you for stealing the election. And he's saying, okay, I'll do that for you, but you better not tell on me because then I'll tell on you. No, I'm going to tell on you. No, I'm going to tell on you. They have a gun to each other's head. At any moment, one of them's going to pull the trigger. Trump has already kind of told on Elon a few times. We've gone through that as well, so I don't need to repeat all that. But Just Jack on Blue Sky writes, Whiskey Pete, 0. The Sea, 4. Because there have now been 4 Navy jets. 2 or 3 of them just fell off the side of an aircraft carrier into the ocean. Now, Just Jack is having fun with it, calling him Whiskey Pete. This is the kind of thing we need to do, although each one of those costs like $160 million or something like that. Or I think maybe half of that. So there was 2, but now there's 2 more. So we're up to like $300 million worth of airplanes that have just been lost to the sea under Pete Hegseth's Department of Defense. We've never heard of that before. Have things like that happened before? I don't know. It's also sounds kind of funny. The drunk guy becomes the leader of the Pentagon, and then airplanes start falling off the side of boats. He also said that for the job that's in D.C., a circuit court judge, and I think that's what it is. I'm not sure, but everyone talks about the title being one of the biggest management of the courts as a judge in the entire country, in Washington, D.C. And the guy he was going to put up for it, even Republicans are like, I ain't voting for that guy. So he pulled his nomination and he said, now I nominate Judge Janine Pirro. She's got a great box of wine, beautiful box of wine, Janine Pirro. Another Fox News host who is crazy go nuts. If you know who I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I'm thinking she's like, oh my God, he did what? I don't want that job. I wonder, I don't think much is going to come of it. I don't think she's even going to make it into committee for a few different reasons. Why does he think she's a better pick than the last guy? I don't think anyone's going to vote for this woman. And I think it's possible that the Trump regime will be kaput before she has a chance to have any hearings. By the way, speaking of airplanes, news just came out today that Qatar, however you say it, it's like we used to call it a hero sandwich, and now it's Guido. Some people, I think, called it gyro. Anyway, tomato, Pentagon. Anyway, Qatar is giving Trump like a $400 million airplane that he gets to keep after he's president. Again, I don't think that's going to actually come to fruition, but it sounds like he's getting the airplane like this week. He's going to the Middle East. Some people speculate whether or not he'll come back. He is, going for corrupt reasons. This whole Bitcoin thing is heavily corrupt. Let me go down my Blue Sky here. Here's something. How many Trump supporters does it take to change a light bulb? None. Trump just says he fixed it, and they all stand around cheering in the dark. So that's enough about Trump's airplane. There's so many so many things here that I don't even know where to go with it. We have no idea what's going on with India and Pakistan. We can't believe anything anyone in the Trump administration says. I just saw maybe an hour ago that it was announced that we have a tariff deal with China. I don't believe it for a moment. We'll see where that news goes. They arrested. I told you about the woman that they threw to the ground and rubbed her face in the tar. There's video of this. We need to keep our phones out and if ICE comes in, everybody needs to have their phone out. Some of us need to jump in there and tear these masks off these motherfuckers, and we need to get video of these Gestapo Nazis. No, here's something that's very interesting that I just found out this morning. I'm a few days behind on it, but it's hard to find, actually. James O'Keefe, who's an evil, horrible piece of crap, he used to have people go, quote unquote, undercover journalism and go try and trick people into saying crazy stuff and then exposing it and sort of, blackmailing people, basically. Well, this time he did it to Pam Bondi, who was having lunch in a restaurant. And he had a woman go up to her and sit down at her table and say, "Hi, I'm a nanny. Say, I heard you were going to release the Epstein files. Any idea when that's going to happen?" And then Pam Bondi, on the hidden camera this woman had, says, "Well, I don't know when it's going to happen. There's literally tens of thousands of videos with sex with children on them. And the FBI has to go through that." So then James O'Keefe says, "Hey, I got something on Pam Bondi and the Epstein files." So Pam Bondi then calls an impromptu presser in the driveway there at the White House. She tries to get ahead of it. She adds the word Epstein. There's tens of thousands of videos of Epstein having sex with children or having child porn. I think is exactly her words. So, what is going on with that? What will come of that? It seems very on the verge of explosive. There are other things. Of course, this whole tariff thing. I told you the story about my nephew. He's already feeling problems because they have his goods that he ordered that are made in, I think in his case, from Japan. And at the port, they're holding on to it because they don't know what to charge for tariffs, which, of course, my nephew's going to have to pay that. At this point, he would pay it because he just needs the stuff. This is starting to happen now. And people, regular people, are going to see the effects of this starting this week and for the following weeks. Part of the reason Donald Trump and Kristi Noem are sending Gestapo, masked Gestapo Nazis into the streets, kidnapping people, throwing them in vans and disappearing them. And speaking of that, Anonymous, if you know who they are, the hacker group, hacked into the airplane company that flew all those people to El Salvador. When the judges were saying, okay, we need a list of the people you had on that airplane, Pam Bondi sends lawyers to those judges in the hearings saying, oh, we don't have that. We don't have access to that. Anonymous went in, hacked into the website of the airplane company that was hired to fly those people down there, that it was chartered. They got the entire list. They released it. There are people around the country going, my husband's been missing for 6 weeks. We didn't know what happened to him. He just disappeared, and now he's on that list. Never thought you'd see something like that in this country. This is Nazi Germany that Trump has built for you and me. Thank you so much, Donnie. There's also, I'm just going to kind of change the subject here because it's basically just a list of craziness. And we need to pay attention to each and every one of these things. We can't just go, I've heard enough and forget about it. So Hegseth himself, it came from Pete Hegseth's office, canceled shipments to Ukraine. Different goods, I think some of it was food even, congressionally approved of shipments to Ukraine. Pete Hegseth's office canceled them. And some of the shipments were not even starting in the United States. They were in other countries. So these guys who were loading up the airplanes saying, what? Did you just get that this is canceled? Who said that? Is this canceled? They raised the subject. And when it got back to other people in the Pentagon, they were like, no, those aren't canceled. Keep going. So they were reinstated. The shipments ended up happening, but Pete Hegseth tried to stop them. Pete Hegseth, who has a cell phone where his phone number is from Russia. It's a phone number from Russia. He's got an email address in Russia. Why is Trump not firing Hegseth? Why did he fire Mike Waltz instead of Hegseth? Because Vladimir Putin says, no, it stays in there. Pete Hegseth is directly under Putin. Trump knows it. Trump knows he cannot get rid of Pete Hegseth as the DOD. Is that it? DOD? Whatever of defense. I can't remember anymore. It's, But yeah, why is Pete Hegseth so angry? And by the way, his makeup studio and his little video shooting thing is the only thing he's put any effort into. Seems to be working great. He's got multiple camera angles when he's sitting at his desk yelling and screaming in a drunken, angry mess. Another thing Congress did this week, they pulled in the chief of fencing, the fencing chief. Now, I don't really know what that is, but it's fencing, the sword fighting sport. And there's apparently a national fencing league or something. And by the way, they don't get federal funding. But apparently somebody heard there was a trans person who was in fencing. So Congress pulls this guy, the chief of fencing, in for hearings. This guy's been getting death threats because he's been doxxed on Fox and by other people in Congress. So this guy and his family are getting death threats. And then in this committee hearing, Marjorie Taylor Greene had a picture of him where he's doing like the kind of the peace sign, and it's something he put on his social media, and it's him going like that with the peace sign, and it says game day or something like that. But she cut the picture in a way that cuts off his index finger, so it only shows his middle finger, like he's flipping the country off. A Democratic congressperson was very quick to point that out and had the original picture where he's got the peace sign going. So you have Republican legislators lying. They're lying. They're lying. And getting people in danger. Something good that happened this week is the whole thing about the Supreme Court in North Carolina has finally stopped, and the losing Republican finally conceded after, 6 months of having the Supreme Court in that state be short one member. So now the Democratic woman can take her seat after she won her election 6 months ago. She won her election, but Kamala didn't. That happened in a lot of states. Again, go to electiontruth.org and you can see all the details. I have used up our time. I just want to say, we got to laugh at this stuff. Some of it is funny if you look at it as in a certain way, and take advantage of the fact that you are not being kidnapped so that we can help the people who are being kidnapped. We need to keep it together. Don't let these shitheads get the best of you. That's this portion of what they're doing. It's a long plan, and right now they want multiple chaos at the highest pitch level it can possibly be. Donald Trump is trying to escape to the Middle East. He's trying to get bailed out by Saudi Arabia. I think Saudi Arabia can see that Donald Trump is no longer of any value to them. I think he's not going to get what he was looking for there. And he doesn't have anywhere else to turn. Vladimir Putin is losing ground. I see no news about his big Victory Day parade he was supposed to have on Friday. Can't find it anywhere. I haven't looked real hard, but still, that's another crazy thing that happened this week. There's so many crazy things that I can't keep up with it. You probably can't, but we got to keep it together. Take care of yourself. Enjoy living your life. Don't let these pieces of shit get to you, because that's what they're doing now. That's the next part, to disengage all of us so that we just can't take it anymore, and we stop paying attention. We stop protesting. We stop listening to podcasts like this. I stopped doing podcasts like this. They brought me to my knees 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't do the show because it was just, I can't do this right now. We can't let ourselves get there. We got to stay strong. It's up to us. We do have power as the citizens of the United States. The rest of the world is pulling for us. The rest of the world knows Donald Trump did not win this election. Intelligence agencies, both in the United States and in other countries, know the details. Things are going to change. Our part is to keep the pressure on. So keep the pressure on. Stay with us. Let's stay together. Let's stay sane. Let's keep each other walking forward. If somebody just can't take it anymore and they go to their knees, let's pick them up by the arm and drag them along with us. We all got to stay together in this. And I'm very proud of each and every one of you. If you're listening to this show, you're staying engaged. So thank you for being here with me. I'm very glad to be here with you. We're all in this together. Everybody is in this together with us. We see Kamala now coming back to be with us. Even Joe and Jill Biden and Tim Walz, they're all with us. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. It's late. I got to get it edited and put it up. So thanks again for listening. We will speak at you next
week. You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.